Now this might be the lens for you, especially if you're looking for a budget, fun, and creative lens. This is the TT Artisan's 7.5mm f2, and it has a variety of mounts that you can use it for Sony E-mounts, which are pretty much all Sony cameras, for Canon, for Nikon, for Fuji X if you have Fuji cameras. This lens is pretty much compatible with every camera out there in the market. One thing I will say about this lens is that it's fun. It's definitely a fun lens to use. I'm sure you know about the 0.5 that most people have on their iPhones. Really, there's a lot you can do with it. There are ways you can take photos in 0.5 where it can look fun or it can look funny. But there are ways where you can, use the lens to make it look cool or funny, depending on what type of look you're going for. That really all depends on you. For this lens to be an f2 at 7.5mm, it gives you a very wide perspective, which is most likely why you even want the lens to give you that type of fisheye look, that fisheye view. With this being an f2, it has a very shallow depth of field. So for those who don't know what that is, the closer I get to the camera, the more blurry the background looks. And at f2, it can get even more blurry than this. So it's definitely a very, very fun camera. If you're taking this out in the dark, you'll get better results, less grain. You'll pretty much just be able to film more the lower the f-stop is, because you're able to take in more light, absorb more light. And it just got darker. But pretty much it'll be much easier to film with a lower f-stop compared to a higher f-stop. And with this being f2, this is lower than most, which is very good. It's very creative. It gives you a very nice creative feel to it. There are tons of things you can do with a 7.5mm lens. It definitely gives you that wide perspective and wide view that you're most likely looking for. Hence, that's why you're even considering buying a fisheye lens like this. And honestly, this might be the one I would recommend. This is a manual focus, so it is not autofocus. You do have to adjust the upper ring to bring things in focus and bring things out of focus, which honestly isn't really that hard to do. I know a lot of people aren't used to that, but that's pretty much how most cameras were back in the day. So it's definitely something that you have to get used to. And if you're not used to that, then you probably might not want it. But at the same time, every lens has its pros and cons, and that's just one of it. With it being a manual focus, that's one of the cons that this lens might have. But honestly, with all the things that it can do at its price, it's definitely a great lens to invest in. It's definitely something that you can use to take out anywhere to go and shoot whatever you're looking for, and it'll give you a different perspective on whatever it is that you're looking at. Alright guys, so I'm outside right now in my backyard, and I'm about to take a whole bunch of shots of random stuff just to give you guys an idea of exactly what you can get out of this lens. I'm going to take a variety of shots of different things at different angles so you guys can really get a good idea of, exactly what this lens can do. I'm also record myself using the lens for video so you guys can see firsthand exactly what type of image quality and what type of angle this lens can give you if recording videos is something that you want to do with this lens. All right, next up on the agenda, let's get some stuff here and let's see how it looks. Remember, this lens is manual focus, so at times it can be hard to see what's in focus, but it's just something that you have to get used to. For me, I set my camera where everything that's in red is in focus. So that does help me a little bit, or a lot, when I'm taking photos, because now I can actually see, okay, everything that's in red is in focus. Everything that's not is not in focus. I did take this lens out and I had a photo shoot with a couple of my boys, and honestly I was in love with the images that it was able to produce. Like, we took a lot of different photos from different angles, different distances, and it was great. It turned out great. I loved the view, the type of image quality that I was getting from the lens. Though with it being a manual focus lens, at times you'll get out of focus. With, you know, more practice and knowing how to operate a manual lens, you'll be able to get the hang of it, and sooner or later everything will be in focus as long as you know what you're doing behind the camera. But that is something that took a little bit of getting used to. It's definitely an adjustment for most, because most lenses are autofocus, and with this being a manual focus, it can be a little bit of a hassle, especially if you're not entirely too familiar with it. But I would recommend taking it out to shoot and just getting more comfortable using the lens and understanding what it can do. Not only that, it also has good optical quality, so when you take photos using this lens, you're gonna get a sharp photo for the most part. It might get a little hazed out around the edges, but I mean, it is a 7.5 millimeter lens. I feel like that's got to happen at some point. There is a little bit of chromatic aberration around the side, especially at f2 when you're shooting in harsh light conditions. Obviously, with this being at f2, it definitely gives you that blurry background, that nice bokeh, shallow depth of field, and it's good for low light. Obviously at 7.5, that's not what I would recommend for making any type of videos besides funny type of creative videos. But you know, there's that. It definitely gives you a unique field of view, which I do enjoy. And if this is something that you would want to, you know, just take out and shoot and have a little fun, then this should be one of those lenses that you might want to invest in. This is primarily for crop sensor cameras, APS-C cameras, which is the camera that I'm shooting on. It is a crop sensor camera. They are compatible with full frame cameras, but the thing is, when you put this on a full frame camera, you are going to get a very, very round vignette across the edges of the image, because this is designed for a crop sensor camera that you're putting on a full frame. Either you have a crop sensor camera or a full frame camera. And if you don't know what type of camera you have, if you're wondering, do I have a full frame? Do I have a crop sensor camera? You have a crop sensor camera, bro. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna put a link down in the description for this lens. Like I said, they have it for a variety of mounts, whether you're a Canon, Sony, Nikon, Fuji user, whatever it is, they have it for you. And I'm not the most studious nor informative person when it comes to camera tech, and especially lenses. So I'm just giving you my honest opinion and take on this lens. If you found this video informative in any type of way, enjoyable, entertaining, definitely leave a like on this video. If you're really messing with the channel, by all means subscribe. Let me know down in the description what you think about this lens. If you have a lens like this, why did you get this lens? What do you like about it the most? What don't you like about it? If it's too pricey, or if the manual focus is a no-go for you, leave all that down in the description below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you in the next video.